Hey, Milo, what time is it?
It's time to cover those plants, Dan.
Okay, that's all I got to say.
Why would Ken Clark want to protect his dandelions? He doesn't. It's the only
I wanted to.
It's the only thing Ken Clark can grow is dandelions. But Daru,
Sure are cute, though.
they are
They're
cute.
cute.
But these plants are more preferable, and they're all in danger today, aren't they?
Hello. Welcome to London. Hello, Mary. You know what? Let's see. Are all plants in danger today, Milo?
Not all plants.
Yeah.
It's not going to be a super hard freeze tonight,
Yeah.
at least as far as the forecasts are saying right now.
Yeah.
It's going to be a couple degrees colder than freezing like tomorrow night or maybe even tomorrow morning. It's going to be a fairly light frost overall. Main thing is you're going to want to cover things or pull things in if you can, at least your tender plants. Or your hardy stuff, some of your kind of shrubs and perennials, as long as they don't have super thin leaves, they should do okay. If they do get some damage, it's probably going to be more on the tips where that new growth is, where it's the most delicate. But as long as you cover most things, you know, your pretty things that you just put out right after Mother's Day, your tomato plants, stuff like that, they should do all right for you.
You know, your last name makes me hungry, Salisbury. Milo Salisbury. You're a horticulturalist, and we are live at Nick's Gardens in Aurora.
Yes,
So thanks
we
for
are.
having us.
Of
And
course.
you know your way around plants, and that's why we're talking to you this morning. Are there certain plants that are hardier? My wife just got through planting all. She was actually here, and she just planted all these plants. Are there like flowers are more susceptible, or I mean, are there plants more susceptible to the cold than others?
There are. So anything that's like more tropical, like your cannas and things like that, those are definitely going to be more susceptible to the cold. Things like, you know, your petunias, those can handle a little bit of cold, but I would say still cover them up or bring them inside if you can. But if they get a little bit of frost damage, it's not like the end of the world. Probably the most cold hardy things that you might have out right now would be things like your pansies or maybe even ornamental kale. A lot of times people plant those in the early spring because they're pretty frost tolerant. And, you know, they're better for shade actually when they're in the summertime. But you might have some of those still going right now. Those should be okay. Main thing you're going to have to worry about with this frost is actually the weight of things like snow.
Oh, right. Yeah, I was gonna ask
we
you.
are expected to get snow.
Yeah.
Could squish things.
So what to cover it with? All right, let's do this. Coming up in a minute or two, let's talk about what to cover your plants with and what not to cover your plants with. And as we close, I would just like to say, I'm not going to cover my dandelions because I want them to die.
Well, of course.
Right? Get out of my yard, dandelion.
Dan, if you don't mind,
Best of luck.
I'm in the market for a succulent. So could you go get me a couple succulents while you're there? I do
Easy
love
to keep alive.
that nursery is a great nursery. 2 succulents.
Chris, aren't
please.
you a married man?
Yes, I am. And you can enjoy it. Never mind. I've changed my mind. Earlier, I wanted Dan to get me a succulent. Now I want a ficus.
Oh, okay.
I mean, Dan, you can get me some shopping
Trying to be
done.
behind you.
Give me some shopping. You're there at the nursery.
I'll get you a creeping phlox. How about if I get you a creeping phlox?
I already have one of those.
Interesting.
A block of what?
You already have one of those? That's what I heard. But don't show it. Okay, now that being said, it's cold, it's bold, the plants are not old, the plants are brand new, and this is perfect timing, right, Milo? It's like,
For a snow?
let's spend hundreds of dollars on plants,
Oh,
and
yeah.
let's plant them, and now let's have a snowstorm.
Colorado loves to throw us a curveball, and I guess in this case, it's going to be more of a snowball.
It's going. That's well done. You should
Thank
be on
you.
TV. Wait a minute, you are. You know, we're outside right now,
Yeah.
and we're looking up, and it's all cloudy, and it's drizzly, raining. And one thing we should probably talk about: sprinkler systems. Not a big deal, but you don't need to panic on the sprinkler system because the ground's not going to freeze.
No.
Just put it on pause because you don't need to water.
I would say definitely with your hoses, though, if
Unscrew
you want to just unscrew them, make sure that they don't have pressure in them.
Yep.
Just because those might freeze a little bit easier because they're
That's-
above ground.
That is true.
so-
Well, just like humans, we freeze because we're above ground, and we're putting on coats and stuff to stay
Layers.
warm. So we need to put coats on our plants, but we don't want to put a big heavy Carhartt coat because it'll crush them. So what kind of how and what can we cover our plants with? And we were going to look at some stuff here at Nick's. It's all sold out.
It is all sold out.
Everybody, there was a big
Everyone's-
mad rush yesterday, and
There
everybody
was.
bought everything.
And I'm sure today we're going to get even more people coming in and asking.
So what do you recommend?
You could use something like a frost blanket, which is the thing that we sell that we're out of. If you can't find a frost blanket
Yeah.
or don't want to, you can certainly use something like an old sheet, or even, you know, old towels.
Something light.
Something that is breathable, something that is fabric is best. You know, in a pinch, you could use something like plastic, you know, tarps. That's better than nothing,
Yeah.
but there can still be condensation that can form on the inside and kind of freeze on the plants. So something breathable is best. Try to use something that's big enough to where it can touch the ground. So you're
So
creating
cold
a
there,
pocket of warm air around your plants. As far as crushing your plants, we are expected to get some snow. So if you can put something underneath that tarp or that fabric,
Like a bucket.
to a bucket, like overturned bucket, or get creative, you know, with larger plants. Some people start using like folding tables and stuff, something to support it, tomato cages.
Not a sleeping bag. Don't use a sleeping
No,
bag.
basically,
A comforter
you
is
know,
probably not a good idea.
something to support it to keep the weight off of your plants.
You know, I think it'd be a very creative idea. Have my kids go into there and just kind of hold it up and say, "Okay, Romeo,
Okay, don't
stay
move."
wherever you are. See you tomorrow morning."
Oh my
That probably
God.
won't work though.
They might get a little angry at you.
Yeah, probably.
Your plants will be happy, but your kids might not be.
Plants happy, wife happy. That's probably more.
Yeah, but if you can pull it inside, so obviously going to be easier to pull it inside, you know, your flower pots, hanging baskets, that sort of thing.
Sure.
But if it's in the ground, just make sure it's watered before you cover things. That helps insulate them. And then, you know, cover them with something, have it supported so your plants don't get crushed.
And then coming up in a few minutes, we're going to talk about trees, and we're going to talk about how water is your friend when it comes to keeping your plants warm.
Dan,
My friend, it's your
so since you're taking requests, I would like a lilac.
He's not, though. We've told him 5 plants.
I bet he comes home
he
with
hasn't gotten us
He'll come
one.
home.
Oh,
Come on, Dan.
you know what I'm going to do for Katie?
What?
Here's what I'm going to do. Because we have a lilac bush in our backyard, I'm going to cut her a nice bouquet.
Thank you so much, because that's my favorite scent in the world.
He's going to cut you. No, she wants her own lilac
I'll
plant.
put it
Dan.
in
check
a
with
vase.
In the next hour. Danny has to get the grocery cart, get us a succulent, a ficus, and a lilac bush.
Yeah, and then we're all happy.
Hey, when it's cold outside, we come inside and stay warm, but guess what? Your tree can't do that. What do? We'll find out. It's what I call a tea.
All right, on the 10-point weather alert day, the common mentality here in Colorado is you plant after Mother's Day, right?
We're now changing it to Father's Day.
Yeah, pretty much.
Dan, no planting till after Father's Day is the new rule, apparently.
Yeah, listen, no planting after Father's Day. No kid, what's going on with this weather? And no planting until the 4th of July. I can't believe it's cold. We're talking about snow. We're talking about cold weather. We're talking about vampires in your garden. Come to Nick's and you can get the best steaks for vampires.
Very high quality.
Yes, very. Milo Salisbury, nice to see you. Oh, don't worry. She's like, oh, I'm on TV. I got to get out of here. Milo, nice. Oh, I know you too. Milo, you're a horticulturist. You know your way around plants and trees and shrubs and bushes and plants. So we're talking about how to keep our investment, right? Because that's an
Yes.
investment. You buy all these plants and trees and flowers.
Oh, yeah.
So we're going to talk about trees right now. We were talking about flowers earlier. We're going to talk about flowers again. But let's talk about trees.
Here, I'm gonna set
Should
this
we be
down.
worried about trees, Milo, at this point? What are a couple basic considerations?
Well, I would say, you know, your big trees, you're not going to be able to do anything for them. They should do okay. Main thing we're going to be worrying about with trees at this, you know, with this event going on is the new growth. You know, all the stuff on the tips here, or also things like flower buds or active flowers. Those are going to be the things that get damaged the most.
So big trees, not so much.
Big trees, I mean, you can't do much for them. Make sure they're watered, but other than that, there's not a whole lot you can do.
Before we
Your
toss it back,
little trees, you want to be careful with those.
And before we toss it back, real quick, I wanted to talk about why water is a good thing, because you said water insulates. Real quick.
Water
explain.
does insulate, so it takes a lot of energy to change the temperature of water.
Yeah.
So if you have water in the root zone or around the plant,
Yes.
it helps slow down the temperature change.
All right. But it won't help slow the aging process. Otherwise, I'd be drinking a gallon of water every day. Not
I
really.
mean, it is still good to drink a lot of water, but
Yeah.
I don't think it necessarily helps slow down aging.
Milo, thank you. Nicely done.
Certainly.
Well, she knows everything there is to know about plants and trees.
You kind of look like
Everything.
Brave. You're worrying me with that big, giant, sharp stick like Braveheart. Put it down, Dan.
Looks like a pencil, doesn't it? All right, Dan, thank you so much.
Yeah, he's filling out his quiz at school.